In the video, I take a look at 4 new max cushion light trainers, all 10 ounces, 283 grams or lighter. I share the highlights for each, how they compare, the technologies, and then I pick my favorite. Hello everybody, welcome to Road Trail Run. Today we're going to take a look at 4 max cushion shoes that I selected. They all weigh less than 10 ounces or 283 grams. And they all have a stack height of full stack height at the heel of at least 35 millimeters. So these are all light, highly cushioned shoes. They range in price from the $180 Invincible Run from Nike to in the light blue to the second from the right, the Axon from Saucony at $100. So how are shoe companies able to achieve such light weights with massive amounts of cushion? Well, we've got new midsole foams in the mix. We've got very carefully designed outsoles. Right to left, we have the Hoka Mach 4, then the Saucony Axon, then the Fresh Foam More V3, and finally the Nike Invincible, which reduce the coverage but still provide the wear. Or in the case of the Hoka over here, the Mach 4, we have no outsole at all. It's just rubberized foam, durable. So the contenders are on the right in the white and yellow, the Hoka Mach 4. Then we have the Axon from Saucony. Finally, and then the Fresh Foam More V3, and finally the Invincible Run. So I'm going to go through each of their highlights and some of the details, and then I'm going to pick my favorite from the bunch. So we have full multi-tester reviews of all the shoes over on Road Trail Run, our website, but I'm going to give you the highlights here and some picks. So the Hoka One Mach 4, the highlights. I found it the best for all-around training. It's the most stable and consistent at all paces. I would say in relative terms, it's the firmest of any of the shoes in our collection. It's also the lightest at 8 ounces, 227 grams. All the rest of the shoes are between 9 and 10 ounces. And it has the most performance-oriented and secure upper for me. So a bit more about the shoe. So the Mach 4 has a stack height of about 35-30. And so relatively speaking, it's the lowest stack height of any of the shoes in the roundup here. It has a dual density kind of midsole. Up here we have the ProFly, and then below this giant layer of lighter yellow is a rubberized foam, which is both outsole and midsole. It's firmer than the ProFly. This is the firmest ride of the bunch, the most responsive and kind of highest performance for me. As you can see, there's our rubberized outsole. In our long-term testing, some of our testers have literally hundreds of miles. The rubberized foam wears gradually and very well, no issues there. So it's smooth and consistent at all paces. It has plenty of forgiving cushion. Now the swallowtail you see here stabilizes the landings and kind of rocks you forward. So that's what makes it the most stable. It's moderately responsive for a daily trainer, and it's the most responsive in the group. Not in the sense of bouncy as say the Invincible is, but with a more measured rebound. You might ask, what about the Clifton? Well, the Clifton has the same stack height, but I much prefer the Mach. It's a much more modern shoe. It's smoother, it's faster, it's a little more performance oriented in its fit. Most of all, it's more stable at the heel, easier to get off the heel at all paces, and a touch firmer and more responsive for me. So it really favors heel striking a bit more than the Clifton. It's just a better shoe for me, so I picked it for this roundup. Next up, the $180 Invincible Run from Nike. So the highlights here are it's the bounciest, softest, and most dynamic. For me, it's the most fun to run. It has the highest drop at 9 millimeters. Our Mach 4 had a 5. It's the least stable, and it's the most expensive at $180. So what does it have? Well, it has a giant single slab of Nike ZoomX, as we find in the Vaporflies. This is a great foam. It's soft. It has tons of energy return. It has a very broad, as you can see, landing platform, very broad heel, because there are no plates, no plastic pieces, no air in this shoe. It's 100% dynamic ZoomX, so it needs a broad platform. It's the broadest platform at the heel of any of the shoes here. You can also see the outsole here. Well, the outsole is a thin rubber. The wear has been good for our testers so far, with this patch you can see here at the front, which allows it to be very flexible right at the toe off. So it is the most flexible toe off shoe of the group. The Mach 4 has a nice long rocker plus some flex, but this one flexes right at the front. At 39.30, it has the highest drop and the highest heel, the 39 millimeter heel, 9 millimeter drop. It has the most heel cushion stack on the broadest heel platform. So the sculpted midfoot, you can see here on the medial side, allows you to move forward to that flexible toe off. It's all super fun sensation here. It's stable enough for me, but is the least stable of the group. I would call it a fun kind of shoe. It likes to go fast, but it's maybe for those that require some stability, not ideal. Next up, the Fresh Foam More V3 from New Balance. So it's $165, second most expensive shoe in the roundup. So the highlight, it definitely has the most cushioned run feel. It's easy to run at all paces. It's almost as soft as Invincible, but not quite as bouncy and dynamic, and it is more stable for me. It's the, quote, heaviest shoe in the roundup at 10 ounces, 283 grams. But it certainly doesn't run as a heavy shoe, and there's a ton of cushion here. I think it has the best upper for broader feet. As you can see, there's a nice broad upper. Its stack height is 36.32, so this is a 4 millimeter drop shoe. As you may recall, the Mach 4 was a 5 and the Nike was a 9. It has an inherently stable platform from this broad outsole and broad geometry. And the geometry combines a rocker with a long flex. And that, for me, favors either slow paces or fast paces when you really activate the soft, bouncy, fresh foam up front. It's a dramatic improvement for me over the first two versions of the More, because I think in large part they segmented the outsole, gave it more flexibility, and kind of a less of a stiff feel up front and also at the heel. So it just moves along very well for such a big, soft shoe. As you could see, the outsole is now zonal in pattern instead of being a large kind of mass with a few grooves, and that really is a plus. While it gained some weight over its predecessor to come in at 10 ounces, now the upper is just so much better, more comfortable and secure. While not as stable as the Mach 4, it's the second most stable shoe in the group. Finally, the Saucony Axon, a very big surprise. This is really the first $100 max cushion super shoe, max cushion shoe. And in fact, if you add up the heel and the forefoot stack, it is the most cushioned shoe in the group at 38 heel, 34 forefoot. So that's with a 4 millimeter drop. So its highlights, well, of course, the price at $100. It's the most cushioned by stack height. It has a mellow, easygoing vibe. It's the only shoe in the group that has a rigid rocker profile. All the others have some flex. The rocker is similar to the Endorphin Shift, but a bit more mellow in feel because the Power Run midsole is softer. Quite frankly, it has the least polished upper, and you kind of expect that for $100. I felt a little bit of kind of side to side slip, but it is a very, very comfortable shoe. And with this giant stack height and not having the kind of external cup, even though there's a nice heel counter here, with this 38 millimeters here, it's stable, but not as stable as the Endorphin Shift was for me. In terms of its outsole, pretty darn full coverage. Unlike the Shift, all of the front is rubber. You can see where the wear patterns and the dirt is, but all that stuff in between is rubber. And then we have rubber at the heel. We also have, in smaller format, some stabilizing elements that wrap up the sidewalls. Not quite what's in the Shift, but still they contribute to adding a bit of stability to the to this big wide platform. So to sum things up, Invincible runs so much fun to run, but lacks the versatility and stability of the Mach 4. More V3, steady all-around max cushion performance with a touch of bounce and the most room. Axon's admirable pricing, solid mellow ride. And my favorite of the four is the Mach 4 due to its versatility, lightest weight, stable platform, and responsive yet forgiving cushion. Thank you very much for watching. You'll find multi-tester reviews of all the shoes except the Axon. We'll soon have that one over at Road Trail Run. They're all great contenders, all sub 10 ounces, all with a stack height of 35 millimeters or more at the heel. It really shows how dramatic the improvement in shoe technology is. No plates here, but lots of exciting rides and foams and lots of choices. Hope this video has been useful to you, and please feel free to comment and ask any questions. We couldn't cover all the shoes that might be in contention. I set that 35 millimeter heel, 10 ounce kind of limit, if you will, to give you some solid choices, I hope.